Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And this is season 5. I don't have the episode number right now because I literally just got done watching the show, but it's called Smile, You're Being Recorded. And child, remember how in the Beverly Hills recap, I said that felt like a filler episode? Where is Salt Lake City's filler episode? Because I ain't seen it yet. This is the franchise that keeps giving what needs to be gave. I was gagged towards the end of watching this. And also, besides that, I was mad that it was over with. And I believe next episode might be the season finale because they're doing similar to what they did last season, where the season is going to end on this trip. And child, they're bringing it. They are bringing it. And remember how earlier on the season where we said like the vets of the show were not clocking in? Everybody is clocking in. I changed my mind about Meredith. I thought, y'all know, for the longest, I've been getting on Meredith. And once she found something, and that's one thing that's good about Meredith, she'll find something, but she almost tries too hard to find it. But once she finds it, oh, she's got it. And this one, child, Brittany alley-ooped it to her, and she ain't never looked back. It's like, and I'm like, okay. So without further ado, I'm going to get to it because there's a lot to cover. That's another thing about Salt Lake City. There's always a lot to cover. So first things first. The episode picks up where we left off because we saw two weeks ago that Lisa got mad at her own dinner and just stormed out. So Bronwyn and Angie, they're talking about how did you sleep? She's like, oh, I slept well. And then on the other end, we have Lisa. She's like, I slept horribly. I'm very irritated. And Bronwyn apparently after the dinner came to her room and was on her BS again. Bronwyn, girl, I was rooting for you. I think Heather might have been a little bit right. Damn it. We don't like Heather over here. I haven't liked her for a while, but now I'm irritated because Heather was a little bit right. I'm so irritated. So, well, it's a combination. Heather was a little bit right, and Lisa loves put 20 on 10. So, basically, after the dinner, Bronwyn went back to Lisa to talk to her, to have a private conversation, because she's still being a pick-me towards Lisa, basically. And basically mentioned how she had a conversation with Angie, Whitney, and Heather about, how basically Meredith and Lisa were basically taking Todd's side when they were talking about, the extramarital affairs of it all. And she's holding on to that. And so basically she said, yeah. And she basically insinuated that the other girls that she was talking to was thinking maybe because you guys didn't believe her, this, that, and this, and the producer shows what's been said, and they didn't say that. None of them said that. Really, the most incriminating thing that was said kind of is what Whitney said, and it was Heather agreeing with it. But of course, throughout this whole entire episode, as it keeps coming up, do you think Heather was implicated at all? By one side, but not everybody. Not Lisa, because Lisa is standing on business with it. But Angie was implicated in all the things, and honestly, Angie out of all of them was probably the most innocent. She didn't really say anything crazy. She's the only one out of that group that didn't say anything that crazy. But yet, it's giving Bronwyn is throwing them under the bus again. It's like, girl, you had allies, and now you're just going to throw them allies under the bus yet again. So we find this all out throughout the episode because I ain't gonna hold you. I don't care about this drama nearly as much. What I care about is the rest of the focus of the episode. And who I want to talk about, Brittany. Everyone, okay, first of all, I feel like everyone has been saying it, including me. Why is Brittany not full-time? I still don't understand why she's not full-time. And based off of this episode, she should have been full-time because most of the episode was literally about her. And guess what? Spoiler alert, she was the one who was recording. And so it's been crazy. So basically, before we get to that though, I know I'm skipping so ahead, but I was just so geeked when I was like, oh my God, because it was just crazy. It was a crazy episode. So before we get to what they got planned for today, because Lisa mentioned, okay, they have this excursion where they're doing the ATVs of it all. And so then from there, we have Mary, who is just kind of enjoying the scenery, enjoying the vibes. And she's also mentioning how she's just kind of glad that, you know, Robert Jr. got the help that he needed at the time he did, because she does have a sense of calmness that she doesn't have to worry about him while she's on vacation. She actually gets to enjoy it. And I'm happy for her for that. And so that's kind of all that happens here. And then from there, we kind of get a little bit more of how this episode is going to play out, where we have Meredith talking to Heather. And for those who forgot, Brittany was so stuck on Meredith and her crying and throwing up. She kept saying that was a thing. And Meredith was not amused when that was brought up to the table. And she was like, girl, no. I don't know why you keep saying that. I was crying, but I wasn't throwing up. And also, why do you care? Why is this your business for you to tell everybody? And so Heather is basically stating, look, Meredith goes to Heather. She's like, girl, I'm actually kind of mad at your friend. What's her deal? Why she do that? Why she say that? She is basically, I feel like she's insinuating I have an eating disorder. And can we be honest? Can we be honest? Okay. Because it is Brittany, I feel like it is giving she's insinuating that. But what I thought when she said all that was not eating disorder. Because we also discover that Brittany also was like, do you need some sleeping pills? Like, so she basically, if it turns out that she actually asked Meredith after the dinner if she needs some sleeping pills to help her go to sleep. And I'm like, girl, bring her word. So anyway, so then from there, they get ready for this excursion, and Lisa gets right to it, and this is where the party gets started. So y'all thought I skipped ahead? Not really. Not by much. Lisa asked a question. So what were you guys talking about? Because I heard you guys were talking about me behind my back. And she's, you know, addressing that towards basically really Whitney and Angie. She's not really addressing it towards Heather, even though Heather was there too. And Heather's actually backing them. She's like, no, that's not what was said. That's not what was said at all. And Braun was like, I didn't say that's what was said. So it is a little bit of Lisa doing this too. But it is a little bit messy if you, Braun, went to want to talk to Lisa for the upteenth time about y'all friendship that you know ain't really a friendship for real, other than on the surface level. It looks funny and light because honestly, Lisa wasn't seeing it for you. You had basically Whitney and Angie taking you in, no questions asked, even though you basically threw them under the bus before for no reason. You basically you could have been on the winning team, but you just chose, I guess you just want to be alone on the island. I don't know what that was about, but child, anyway. It didn't happen very long when it was going back and forth, because it went from them going back and forth and Whitney's trying to explain what's going on and Lisa won't let her talk, and she's like, you literally just asked me a question, but she's going off on her, and then they're just yelling back and forth, and then out of nowhere, record scratch, because you have Angie who sees it. I think it was Angie. She called it. She's like, Brittany, why are you recording us? It was giving the same energy that the ladies all have for Monica on the season finale. They all went they were like, we'll put a pin on what we got going on. And they just all went after Brittany. Because Brittany was still trying to play dumb on this and they were pissed. Which I would be too, because why are you recording? And side note, so as this is happening, Brittany's like, I don't know, I didn't mean to do it. And her story changed 5 times. And the producers even willed how many times that stuff changed. I'm sorry, I am amped up after watching this episode. I promise you, I didn't have any coffee. I ain't drinking. I just have my snacks and my sparkling water. I just was just that invested in this episode. It was just good to me. Anyway, so then from there, they're all going off on her. I mean, they are piling on her. And Meredith is like a dog with a bone. She's like, you're doing this, you can leave! You can leave! I'm just doing the most. And Mary in the background, I don't know if y'all caught it, but I caught it. Mary is literally in the background and she's like, get her, Meredith. I was like, I'm sorry. Mary, this episode was comedy gold. She had me dying between, oh my gosh. She had me cracking up. And Heather, even though I don't really see it for Heather, when Heather is not being messy and she's just doing her commentary, she can be funny. And she was this episode too. But oh my God. Yeah. When she literally, and this is not a confessional, she's literally there because she's the only one that's not really yelling at her like that because she don't see it for her enough to even give her that energy. But she's like, get her, Meredith. I died. So then they get to the excursion and immediately Brittany goes out of the Sprinter van and just starts crying. But like, she wasn't fake crying. She was crying because I want y'all to, I want an opinion. I think she did intentionally record them, but I don't think she realized how messed up that really was. And the reason why, it will come up later on why I think that, but initially I was just confused. I didn't really understand why she would do that. But later on it kind of made sense. But I don't know. The reason why I'm not sure what the intentions was is because she's really dumb. Okay, she's not smart. You know she's not smart. Like, I love you, Angie, but she makes Angie seem really, 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 really smart. And we know Angie is not smart either. She has her ditzy moments too. Actually, that comes up later on this episode, but it's neither here nor there. I'm sorry. I was entertained by this episode. If y'all are not watching Salt Lake City, you need to, and you need to be watching it. I ain't gonna hold you. After I get finished reviewing this, I'm gonna go back and watch it again because I was entertained. I was cracking up. After this week, so it's only been 8 days at the beginning of January. Let's sidetrack a little bit. It's only been 8 days of January, and it has felt like a whole entire month has already passed. When I tell you my seasonal depression is depressing-ing, I mean, I'm good. Don't get it twisted. There's nothing to worry about. I know what it is. It just is what it is. It's a cycle. But I am kind of just going through it mentally because I know it's cold outside. There's snow. There's not that much sun. Because it's cold outside, I'm not going outside, and therefore I'm not getting enough sun. I'm taking vitamin D, which is probably why I'm doing so well, because I take vitamin D all year round at this point, just because at this point my seasonal depression just be getting me too much to the point where it's like, child, I better just have the vitamin D already on me. I'm not going to have a deficiency again, because I've had deficiencies in the past because of how Chicago be Chicagoing. But anyway, But yeah, this episode, I said all that to say this episode, it brought me life. I was cracking up. I laughed so many times this episode. I was invested in this episode. I felt for people in this, like all the emotions happened on this episode. But the thing is, overall, this season, when it comes to Salt Lake City, it's been like that for me. So I just needed this. I needed this because the other two shows, no offense, y'all just didn't give what this gave. Y'all just didn't. But anyway, so Brittany's crying, but she's like ugly crying. And like very much ugly crying. And Whitney was like, oh my gosh, I think she still's like, that was messed up what she did, but she's like, because everyone literally attacked her all once. I mean, it was literally, it was Brittany versus everybody. So Whitney was like, let me go and console her, find out what's good. So she does console her. And this is where one of her many other excuses of what she was doing happens. And Brittany was like, and Whitney's just like, I just wish she would just own it and just so that we can move on. And at this point, she's not owning it yet. And so she does enough to comfort her, and then they go to do the ATVs. And so initially, the girls were going to do literally, they were going to do it in a group. And unfortunately, it was going to turn out that Brittany was going to have no one to ride her ATV with. And then they did decide, the people who run the thing was like, no, 2 at a time. We found out later on why. Had nothing to do with the argument, nothing to do with singling people out. There's an actual reason why it has to be 2 at a time. And, and guess who got stuck with Brittany? Heather. And Heather was pissed because Heather was like, I vouched for you. I did all this for you to be in this group, for you to do all that. So of all the people, it was actually kind of ironic. It was very dark comedy gold for me because this whole entire time, Heather is so worried about Bronwyn, and she just had to look at her good Judy to realize that's the person she had to worry about this whole entire time. It was the most ironic chef's kiss thing ever for me because you were so worried about having another Monica, and the other Monica you knew most of your life. I was like, I'm sorry, you can't make this up. It was great. And so Heather's like, oh, of course, I get to ride with a person who's literally the most hated person in this group right now. Great. And so as they're doing the ATV ride, and I love this. Now, I have always been intimidated by the idea of doing an ATV ride, but I now want to do it based off of what I saw here because they weren't going ridiculous. Like everyone was like driving like they have some sense, like they weren't propelling to the melling it, because I've heard over the years about ATV crashes, so it's always scared me, the idea of like just going on ATV. But then when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I would just love to do this one day. But anyway, let's get to who was paired and what happens next, because child, that was good too. So then next, what happens is we have Heather and Brittany paired up, like I mentioned. And then we also then have Whitney and Angie. You know, we knew that was going to happen. And then we have Bronwyn and Mary. And then we have, Angie's the one who's driving. Brittany's the one who's driving. Bronwyn's the one who's driving. And then we have Lisa and Meredith. I believe Meredith was the one who was driving there. And then Heather narrating this cracked me up. This is where Heather is at her best, when she narrates things in her comedic way. And she's like, yeah, so we're in this car and silent as get out because I'm literally riding in the ATV with the person's literally most hated person here right now. I don't want to talk to her. And then what else could go wrong? Oh yeah, a bridge that has not been stress tested, and we have to cross it. And child, when they showed us what this bridge looked like, it was literally like a wooden bridge, like with the ropes. It looked like something off of Xena Warrior Princess. I know y'all thought I was going to say Indiana Jones or something like that. Nope. Xena Warrior Princess. I'm going to say it. For those who know me, y'all know I'm a huge Xena Warrior Princess fan. I have literally the whole entire season. I have all the seasons, like every single episode, including her being on the original show that she came from, because we won't speak about that man, because F that man. But but I have every single episode of Xena Warrior Princess, and so that's why I said that. But anyway, and also bucket list, I want to go to New Zealand one day. So anyway, I know I'm going all over the place, but they literally have to cross this bridge, and I mean, it's like cliff to cliff situation, and it is a wooden bridge. They all do it though. And of course, I figure it was okay. But remember how earlier on when I mentioned that it had to be a 2 at a time? I'm pretty sure it was probably related to weight capacity and making sure, you know, I'm pretty sure that was part of the reason why. Just saying. So they did that. And then once they got there, they got to this water. I forgot what it's called. Y'all can put in the comments what it's called, where you have like that, the water with the waterfall. And it's kind of like a hot spring situation. They have them a lot in like Central American and Latin American countries. I think they also have them in some Caribbean destinations. They actually have this kind of a situation in Puerto Rico. I just didn't get a chance to go because unfortunately I was there during the rainy season. Well, towards the beginning of the rain season. We're going to fix that for next time I go. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And so the girls are there, and Whitney jumps in the water because we knew she would. She's adventurous. And then Brittany does too. And all the girls are sighing her stuff because they're still mad at her. Like, all this just happened, right? And Lisa's in her commentary, she's like, first, Mary was cracking me up because Mary's like, woo! I should have got a picture of Whitney doing that because she looked good doing that. And then she was like, oh, Brittany, go ahead and do that. Fly over there and then fly on home. I was like, because y'all know Mary does not see it for Brittany. So when all this happened, she was like, cool. I don't like her anyway. But anyway. And then, so as it's happening, we have Lisa in the background also shading her too. She's like, look at her, like she's all bouncy or whatever. I could see why Jared likes her because she's bouncy, not bubbly, but like just like she's just trying to make it seem like nothing happened, as if she didn't just record us and like violate our freaking like privacy and whatnot. What is wrong with this lady? Like literally going off on her. But then out of nowhere, she's just like, but she does look at her bikini though. Wait, what? I was like, oh my gosh, these ladies, they are clocked in. So then after that, they all basically go to a restaurant that's kind of right on the area of all this excursion. And they're greeted with margaritas. And they have food ready to go that Lisa already ordered ahead of time. And just another side note. So remember how I mentioned during my Potomac review how I wish the Potomac girls would do more on their trips? This is exactly what I mean. This gave me life because they're doing other things besides eating and going and staying in the villa. Eating, staying in the villa. I need some adventure. I need y'all to actually go do the things other than shopping. Because also, too, by the way, these ladies end up going shopping, too. They did all the things. But that ATV adventure just got me. And I was, oh my gosh, it was all good. So anyway, they do end up going shopping after the fact. But let's get back to the restaurant at hand. So at the restaurant, initially, they're all enjoying their food. Just, trying to keep it cute for a little bit. But then round 2, everyone is going in, but not as vitriolly as they were before on Brittany, because they're just trying to understand why would she do that. And I mean, everyone, including Heather, she's like, girl, I brought you into this group, and now I feel like I'm embarrassed that I brought you in. Like, I vouch for you to do all that. You literally are giving like Monica 2.0. And I literally was the one who brought you in the group. I did not, like, why? And so Brittany is just crying. She's making up excuses. And she has another excuse, and then they're not buying it. They're like, girl, this is like your fifth excuse. And then the producers show that, as I mentioned before. And then finally, Brittany's like, okay, I actually have a confession. And then she was like, I am having a sexual relation with Jared. And really, who actually got the party started when it comes to Brittany about it was actually Mary. Because Mary's like, why would you do that, though? Because at first, Brittany was so quiet. She's like, why are you quiet? And because I think she was expecting her to, like, apologize, own up to it. And so Mary was still going after her. She's like, okay, and we kind of already knew that. Like, what is that about? Who cares? And that's when Heather was like, guys, don't do that. And to my surprise, everyone actually did back off because Heather was like, it literally is a Mormon thing. And as she broke it down, she was like, everyone was starting to finally open up and actually explain why, and actually explain all Whitney's and Brittany's behavior and why she's so confusing, and how she does one thing, she does a drinking, but then she's mad at, Angie for bringing her wine. Like, it all comes out right here, all of that. And so Heather's like, no. What she just said to you, I know y'all don't, she's like, I know, Mary, you don't think that's a big deal. I know, Angie, you don't think that's a big deal. I know, Meredith, you don't think that's a big deal. That is a big deal. And then that's when she actually goes in. That's when Brittany's like, no, like, you have to understand, I'm like still like in the church, and like I'm still respected in the church. So me saying that what I'm doing, like, this is big. Like, after this season, I can never go back. Like, I think it finally dawned on her she's leaving the church. Because, I mean, she's going to basically have to, based off of how, because she's, outside of Lisa, because what Lisa says about Mormon 2.0, the way everyone else on this show describes it, it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. That is a Lisa Barlow thing. That's not a real thing across the board. Everyone else is like, no, that's not real. And so then Whitney says, I get where you're coming from, but you cannot condemn us. You can't do the things with us and then condemn us. You can't do that. You have to make up your mind. She's like, I got crucified for having my affair with Justin, and I ended up leaving the church. It felt horrible. And then you had, from there, after Whitney said something, then you had Braun, one of all people, step up and say something. She's like, I had a baby while still in the church. Out of wedlock. I basically had a kid when I was a teenager. And the church condemned me and tried to make me get rid of it and everything else. She's like, the one thing that I am the most happy that I did almost cost my family and everything else I knew. She's like, so I get where you're coming from, but you cannot keep acting this way. And so it actually turned to like a Brittany intervention. And I think it took this event for her to finally get it. And hopefully she does get it. Hopefully she embraces her new life and unlearns some of the traumatic things that she has going on. She's not going to be able, she's not going to be able to be this version of her that she was before. And then Whitney said the most obvious thing. She's like, what did you think was going to happen? You're on this show. You're talking about Jared constantly. You're talking about you being in lingerie, and you've been drinking wine this whole entire, like, you drink all the time. What did you think was going to happen? And I don't know why it didn't dawn on her. Maybe, I mean, again, she's not the brightest. But I think that's what it was. And then Heather kind of clears it up and ties it up in a bow. She's like, I understand where you're coming from. Like, I lost everything because of, me leaving the church as well. Like, I literally left everything behind. This group is what saved me. And honestly, when it comes to Heather, I don't believe a lot of the things that she says, but I think this show did save her, for real, for real. That's why Heather is so confusing and still has her own issues. She really does need to go see the lady. In the words of the Brooke Ashley. Shout out to the Brooke Ashley. Love your reviews. But like, she really does need to go get some therapy. A lot of the ladies on the show probably does quiet as kept, but I'm not sure how, like, in a weird double-edged sword, probably a lot of these women wouldn't be as toxic and necessarily as good for the show. Who knows? I know that's messed up to say, but unfortunately, it's sometimes reality. So, they kind of all do forgive her for the most part, minus Meredith, because then Brittany tried to do the Housewives apology. She's like, I'm sorry if you felt like I insinuated that you had an eating disorder. She's like, no, you did. And it kind of ends there. And then they go shopping. The shopping thing was fun, cute, and Heather was having her a ball because Heather found like this apron situation where it's an apron and it says something kind of somewhat vulgar but not horrible. And then you lift the apron and then it's just like y'all get what I mean by that. And so she brought one, then she's walking around with it like, yeah. And it was cute, and that's kind of how that ended. That's kind of how that ended, and let's go on to the rest of the episode. So then after that, the ladies are getting ready for dinner, and we have Mary and Angie, and Angie is being there for her, helping her do her hair, and it's awesome, and it's lovely. She's doing her hair, and at first, Mary's like, my hair is just going to look fried. And like, Angie's like, girl, I'm a hairstylist. I can help you out. So they're doing the hair together. And then in the confessional, Angie's like, I just think it's admirable and quite amazing that she is handling things the way she's handling it. No one knows what she's going through. And I just want to be there for her because she really does mean a lot to me. And I felt like when she said that, she really meant that. Now, I am going to say this. I saw a preview of the next episode. Angie, I hope you ain't make me mad. Because it looks like you and Mary are getting into it. I'm hoping that was some editor magic and really Mary's getting into it with someone else. I feel like that's what happened. I'm hoping that's what happened. But everybody's getting into it next episode. I think that might be the season finale next episode. I'm not so sure. But anyway. Moving on. So then from there, we have Heather and Meredith. And Meredith now does not trust Brittany at all. She's like, and she's trying to basically insinuate that there might be like, a recording device in her room. Because of how can Brittany hear her when she doesn't hear any of them in the other villa in her room? And I was like, and what was I gonna say? Heather, she's like, oh my gosh, I want to solve this mystery. She's so into it. She's like, yes, okay, we're gonna solve this mystery. So they're literally looking all over the room trying to see if they could find something. And of course they didn't find anything. But anyway, then fast forward, they go to dinner. And Lisa planned this dinner. It was a low-key, nice dinner overlooking the city. So they had like this nice skyline. It was really, really cool. And honestly, side note, it makes me so excited to go to Sedona. Oh my gosh, I'm going soon because, child, y'all know that I don't do the winter the whole time. I just won't do it. I refuse. But Sedona has similar situations where it's just overlooking, instead of the skyline, it's overlooking the rocks. And there's a lot of like nice restaurants that are like that. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway. So then from there, we have, as they're having dinner, Angie decides, no, we're going to talk about some things. So Angie brings back up the situation between her and Bronwyn because that did not really get resolved because of the Brittany of it all. She's like, I just want to understand why you insinuated that Whitney myself and Heather were saying some things about Lisa when we really weren't saying things that crazy. And Braun was like, I didn't insinuate that though. And she did, but she didn't. Now, Braun would be knowing what she's doing. She does this thing where it leaves room to it being something. And she already knows that Lisa's paranoid of this group of women anyway, because she already didn't trust her. And she did this based on, and her coming to, child, I just know Bronwyn knows what she's doing. I know she knows what she's doing. I ain't gonna hold you, like, I'm not liking Bronwyn as much as I thought I would initially, but I do love what she's doing because it's keeping us going. It's keeping us talking. Anyway, so then from there, they kind of don't really resolve anything. This kind of goes nowhere. Side note. So when Bronwyn was, this is at the dinner, when Bronwyn was going back and forth with Angie and Whitney, she was like, I was not trying to be vindictive when I was talking to Lisa. And both Whitney and Angie needed to explain to them what that meant. And so remember how earlier on when I said, like, the ditziness came out? That's what I meant. Also, too, I forgot to mention this review. I was so excited I didn't even watch the after show. So if any additional tidbits come out when it comes to after show, I'll add it to the review. But I don't see. I don't know what else needs to be added. Anyway, this kind of goes nowhere. And then. And the reason why it does, and as they're going back and forth, because it's like really, it's Angie and Whitney versus Bronwyn. And you see in the background, Heather's like, see, two-faced. I told you. And it's like, I'm just annoyed. Okay, Bronwyn, I'm speaking directly to you. I am just annoyed that you kind of am proving Heather right. I don't like that. I don't like that you're kind of proving her right. Not a fan of that. And also, too, I would love one day if all y'all women, well, a lot of y'all women, thank God Mary ain't one of them, would stop pining over Lisa as if she's that girl. She's not that girl. Respectfully. She's not. I don't get it. Maybe because I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not even going to try to act like I get it because I don't have pick me behavior, so I don't get it. Anyway, so then Meredith goes back to talk to Brittany about the whole eating disorder thing of it all, and she's kind of going back and forth with her on that. And Brittany's like, "That's not what I said, though." And they kind of really get nowhere either. And so the girls just end up leaving the dinner because it just is a bust. No one gets anywhere with it. And so they're in their golf carts, but while they're in the golf carts, Meredith is just kind of like, so wait a minute, y'all were talking about Lisa and I after you had that conversation with Bronwyn. What did y'all say? And it was, so it was Meredith, I think Meredith's talking to Bronwyn and Angie about it. I don't know who else was in the thing over there with her, but like she was just kind of like, no, Meredith and she's talking to Meredith and Heather. And they're like, no, not Meredith. Wow. Meredith is talking to mainly Heather. I don't remember who else was there. I think she was also talking to Angie. I don't completely remember though. But they're basically both downplaying them saying bad things about Lisa and Meredith. But really, she did say some bad things. But really, Whitney did say something kind of messed up. She was like, well, maybe they took Todd's side because they're more on his side of things. That's what she said, right? That was not a nice thing to say or a good thing to say because it's like you're basically speaking on their marriage, right? And so, Meredith took it as such, and so she's offended, right? Because, child, for those who don't know, Meredith is entertaining as all get out, but let's be real, she's a Karen. So she's going to get triggered very easily. We know that about her. That's also partially why she's so entertaining, but it's also annoying all at the same time. It's a little bit of both. Mainly because it's on the show and it's not real life. Because you deal with someone like this in real life, you want to punch them in the face. Just saying. But anyway. So the Meredith's like, wait, what? Why would you do this? Like, she's like, and Heather this whole entire time is trying to downplay her part in this because Heather agreed with Whitney. Whitney and Heather were bad weathering like all get out. Remember when I said that in that episode? I was like, oh, child, bad weathering. Because the reason why I said that is 9 times out of 10, when bad weather be bad weathering, it does come back to them. And it did. So Meredith is fuming. She's like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to none of y'all. So it's like that alliance or whatever that they had going on, broken. And by the alliance, I mainly am talking about Heather and Meredith's alliance, because Heather and Meredith have had an alliance for some time, really ever since Jen Shaw of it all. And so now she's like, oh, no, I don't want to do this. And then because the whole entire time, Heather's trying to not answer the question all the way and deflect. She's like, no, I want to do the recording device thing. Well, let's figure out, let's do the sound thing to see like if maybe she heard you through the sounds of it all. And Mara's like, no, I'm done with y'all. I'm done with all y'all. She basically wants to say, I'm done with y'all bitches. I'm done. And so she goes storming to her room, and her and Lisa, because Lisa goes to console her, and she's like, what is going on? And she's going off on Lisa when it comes to all the ladies. And then Mary is trying to feel like, and so as it's happening, because before she stormed off, they're arguing in front of all the girls, and Mary's like, Heather, what'd you say about her? Heather, and Heather's like, I didn't say anything about her. She's like, no, what'd you say about her? Child, she did say something about her. So I do like that Mary did that. Mary was, oh my gosh. Mary just added a little bit the seasons to it, and it just better. Anyway, so then as Meredith and Lisa are in her room going off, well, really Meredith's going off on Lisa about the other girls. Basically, then Mary's like, no wonder Brittany heard the whole entire thing. She's loud as and then all the other girls, because Mary don't care about all this, she went and walked away. But I think almost all the other girls, because I don't know who was all eavesdropping, but they're eavesdropping. And oh, by the way, after Mary said that out loud, I don't know if y'all caught that, but did you see that Brittany had that smirk on her face? That was suspicious, friend. That was suspicious. I hope that gets mentioned during the reunion, because that was interesting. Anyway, so then they're eavesdropping. The other girls are eavesdropping. And then at the very end, she's like, I bet she can hear me now. That's what Meredith says at the end. And then you see Whitney, and I don't know who else was like eavesdropping. They just all scatter away. Scatter. I mean, they look like roaches just scattering at the very end. And that was the end of the episode. And I was cracking up. Meredith, I'm sorry. I've been giving you a hard time this whole entire season. But child, when you clock in, you be clocking in. You're one of those workers where like, I feel like she's one of those people where you need her towards the end of the project. You don't want her at the beginning of the project because she ain't going to do too much. But at the end of the project, when you need the presentation to pop off, you get Meredith. That's how I compare her. Because the way she kind of added to this episode, actually all the women did. I was so entertained. But anyway, hopefully you liked my review. You liked this episode. And hopefully I will see you again soon. And hopefully you love that you're seeing my face. You see my face in all my reviews this week. I just missed doing the reviews. But anyway, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.